Good afternoon and welcome to the Windsor Star's Net News at Noon. I'm Craig Pearson, bringing you the best from the paper and the web. Officials announced in Bahrain this morning that Windsor will host the International Children's Games in June 2013. Mayor Eddie Francis has traveled solo to Bahrain, where the current games are taking place, to make a 2-hour PowerPoint presentation and answer questions for the International Children's Games Committee. Between 1,500 and 2,000 coaches, dignitaries, and athletes aged 12 to 15 will converge on this area. By the way, the International Children's Games are the only youth sporting event sanctioned by the International Olympic Committee. Canada's population has surpassed 34 million for the first time, Statistics Canada announced this morning. More than two-thirds of the increase came from international migration. And while all provinces except for Nova Scotia experienced an increase, most of the jump was in the 4 western provinces. A Toronto area truck driver was sentenced this morning in a Windsor courtroom to 10 years in jail for importing and possession for the purpose of trafficking cocaine. Amandeep Singh Sidhu was stopped coming into Canada in 2008. He was trying to cross the Ambassador Bridge with almost 26 kilos of cocaine worth an estimated $2.5 million. Well, the largest lottery draw in Canadian history was finally won on the weekend. 2 ticket holders in Saskatchewan and Newfoundland will split the $50 million Lotto Max jackpot. But there were also 17 $1 million prizes won, including by a lucky ticket holder in Windsor who has yet to come forward. Lightning, hail, and downpours pummeled Essex County on Sunday night as storms surged through the region. Likely, lightning is the cause of a blaze that ripped through an Essex car wash, and 4 people, meanwhile, were killed by tornadoes in Michigan. There was also a large fire in the Windsor area, though not, I don't think, from lightning. Here to talk to us about that is Dalson Chen. Hey, Dalson, thanks for coming on.
No, hey, no problem.
What happened with that big fire?
There was a plastic product in a recycling business, high-density polyethylene, and it was very dramatic, but the actual damage estimate is only $100,000 because it didn't touch the structure of the business at all. And the material was allowed to burn under the advice of the Canutech, which is its dangerous goods specialist. They said the best policy with this sort of stuff is to let it burn itself out.
You know, I did. Yeah, and I could see the smoke from my place in South Walkerville.
Yeah.
But where was the actual fire?
It was in the West End. There's this place called Blue Point Plastics. It's located on Hill Avenue near Sandwich Street.
Hey, speaking of fires, perhaps more interesting is you were up following a group of Windsor people who went to the G8 and G20 summits in Toronto.
Yeah.
Who were you with, and what was that all about?
The Windsor and District Labour Council organized 3 buses, mostly members of CAW Local 444 and Local 200. And they went up there to express their discontent with the amount of money being spent on the G20 summit, and they took part in a rally and a march around Queen's Park.
Now, these guys, I understand, were peaceful.
Yes, yeah, because that's the thing. We didn't see any fires. We didn't see any smashed windows. We didn't see any rocks being thrown at police because the Windsor buses came and went in a matter of about 3 hours. They showed up around noon and left by 3 o'clock, and that was before, all hell broke loose.
Well, there was as many as 10,000 protesters,
yeah,
right?
Between 5,000 and 10,000 protesters. The vast majority, like the Windsor protesters, utterly peaceful, practicing their right to free assembly.
Which I totally agree with. I think that's what democracy is about. I think it's great that they go up there and voice their discontent if they have it. The problem comes with vandals, and you were saying that it was a specific group of anarchists?
Yeah, the Black Bloc anarchists, they call themselves. They feel that these sort of events, unless there's direct action, then they don't get the goods. So that's what they did. Their expressed intent was to disrupt the G20 summit by any means necessary. So,
but did they achieve it, really?
No, obviously not. I mean, there was $1 billion worth of cops there. I mean, they're not going to affect crap.
Right. Well, they did affect some things, but they didn't stop the summit from going ahead. No. That went ahead. But what happened was a bunch of stores had windows broken and were looted and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, they weren't looted. They were smashed. Urban Outfitters, Starbucks, a bunch of banks, and 3 police cars were set on fire. And there were actually 3 protesters who suffered head wounds, apparently.
Really?
But again, I didn't see any of this. None of the Windsor people saw any of this, because for them the march was utterly peaceful, and they knew that all this stuff was going to overshadow the message of the peaceful march.
Well, last thing before we go is just got to ask you, what did it feel like for you to be with the Windsor people going up to exercise their right to protest?
Oh, it felt great because there was a real engagement with the issues, you know. And I used to do that sort of thing when I was younger, before I became jaded and cynical, and you know.
And a journalist, so now you write about it.
Journalist, yes.
Now you write about it instead
and
of do it.
Sellout, yeah. Oh, well.
Hey, he said that, not me. Anyway, Dalson, thanks very much for coming on. Appreciate it. Have you on next time. Always have something interesting to say. Yeah. Please click on by tomorrow for some more Net News at Noon.